Hey guys, welcome back to another very interesting video of our channel Versatile Knowledge, and in this video I'll be doing the full in detail comparison between the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max and the Xiaomi's Mi 10i. So both of these devices are under the same price range of around 19-20,000 rupees, and in this video I'll be telling you guys in detail about both of these devices and what are the pros and what are the cons and which does better in which department, and in the end I'll also give you guys a verdict about which smartphone should you opt for if you are looking for a smartphone in this price range. So without wasting any time, let's get started. So as you guys can see here, we have the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max on the right side and we have the Mi 10i on the left side over here, and the device that I have with me is the 6GB 128GB model of the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max in vintage bronze color, and again the 6GB 128GB model of the Xiaomi Mi 10i in the black color guys, which is the midnight black and glossy color. The first important thing that I will be starting with the discussion between these two devices is with respect to the pricing and availability of these devices. The device Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is actually priced at around 19,999 rupees for the 6 128GB model, and the Mi 10i costs 22,000 rupees for 6 128GB model, which is like 2,000 rupees more than what the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max costs. Generally the Mi branding is slightly on the higher price. When we talk about the availability of these devices, both of these devices are available for sale on Amazon, Mi.com stores, and also on the Mi official offline stores as well. Both devices actually get the bank discounts on their respective models. For example, this device is currently having the ICICI Bank 2,000 rupee discount, and this device also has the HDFC Bank 2,000 rupees discount on the Amazon stores. But the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max actually is on flash sale, but this is always available on the open sales as well. If you are looking for a smartphone urgently and if you are finding this device to be attractive, sometimes this device will not be available in stock. So that is an important thing I wanted to note down. So the next important thing that I wanted to discuss in this device comparison is with respect to the design, the build quality, colors and models of this device. First, let me talk about the design, build and the colors of the Mi 10i first. This is the midnight black, that is the glossy black color of the Mi 10i, and it is actually a very premium device guys. It feels really premium to hold in the hand. It is having the plastic frame. It is not an aluminum frame because there is no antenna bands that is present on the device. As you can see, there is no antenna bands that is present, so that means it is a plastic frame. The device is actually built really well, but it is on the heavier side and also it is really wide over here. So if you hold the device in your hand like this, it feels really wideish over here, and it actually weighs somewhere around 214 grams, which is always on the heavier side. If a smartphone weighs above 200 grams, it will be on the heavier side. It feels really big and bulky to hold in the hand. The Mi 10i also has the Gorilla Glass 5 based protection on the front as well as the Gorilla Glass 5 based protection on the back, and this device also has IP53 dust and splash resistance as well, which is a really good thing in my opinion. And this device comes in three different colors, that is the Pacific Sunrise, this midnight black, and also we have another color that is the blue color that is present guys. The difference between these two devices is that the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max has this color, that is the vintage bronze color, and this is one of the best colors that is present on any smartphone, and the Pacific Sunrise color that is present on the Mi 10i is also one of the most unique colors. And this device, that is the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, actually weighs lighter and it is around 192 grams, and also the frosted bronze color that is present on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is actually not a fingerprint magnet. If you see, this device is a fingerprint magnet. Just after a couple of minutes of usage, it catches a lot of fingerprints on the glossy back of this device, but this device does not catch any fingerprint or sweat because of the fact that this has a frosted glass back. But the point is, this device has a protection for Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, but there is no Gorilla Glass protection on the back guys. I just verified with a couple of people and also on the couple of websites. The back is not having any sort of protection, that is Gorilla Glass 5 protection is not present on this device. So this device has a Gorilla Glass 5 on both back and front. This device does not have on the back, but only on the front it has GG5, that is Gorilla Glass 5. This device also has plastic frame. This device also gets the IP53 dust and water resistance guys, which is a fantastic thing in my opinion, especially in this price segment. So in terms of design and build quality, I am slightly lean towards the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max just because it is a head turner in terms of design guys. It looks really premium and it looks really classy when you hold this device in your hand. So both devices have a large camera bump at the back. That's why both devices actually wobble on a table. So in terms of design and build quality and colors, I would go for the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max any day because of the fact this comes with this unique color. Now the third important round is about the display. So if you look closely, both these devices has an excellent display, guys. If I just try to increase the brightness, both these devices get quite bright, and also it has really good viewing angles, outdoor visibility and everything. But the differentiating factor between both these devices in terms of display technology is important, because this device actually has a Super AMOLED display and the Mi 10i has a IPS LCD display. But the important thing is, a lot of people on social media and on other YouTube videos or on blogs actually try to showcase that the AMOLED displays are always better. That is not the case, guys. The display on both these devices are really good. It may be the viewing angles. As you can see, both the devices has really good viewing angles, and also the hole punch that is present on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is slightly smaller when compared to the Mi 10i. That doesn't take away the fact that this device also has a brilliant display. It is not at all a bad display by any means. But one important differentiating factor is that this is a Super AMOLED display, but this is an IPS LCD display, and a lot of people actually like the Super AMOLED display. Both of the devices has full HD plus resolution, that is around 2400 x 1080, 120 Hz high refresh rate, 240 Hz touch sampling rate on this device, and also the Mi 10i has the adaptive refresh rate that we saw on the Mi 10T series. It has different high refresh rate levels that is present, guys, on the Mi 10i, so that is a fantastic thing. The Mi 10i also has the Widevine L1 certification for the full HD videos on the Netflix and Amazon platforms. It also supports the HDR on Netflix as well, and the IPS LCD display on this device does not feel bad at any cost. Redmi Note 10 Pro Max display has the peak brightness of 1200 nits, which makes the outdoor visibility of the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max at least 50% better than the Mi 10i. The outdoor visibility of the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, that means when you are taking this device outdoors and you are using this in the sunlight or direct sunlight or harsh sunlight conditions, this device can be viewed much easily when compared to the Mi 10i. This is probably the best display on any smartphone under 20,000 rupee price range. This device also has a 120 Hz refresh rate, 240 Hz touch sampling rate, but this device has only two high refresh rate levels, that is the 60 Hz and 120 Hz. This does not have an adaptive refresh rate levels, that is 48, 60, 75, 90, 120. That is not present on this device. The 120 Hz is really optimized better on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max when compared to the Mi 10i, guys. That is also one thing that I've mentioned in my previous videos. The Mi 10i has some kind of choppiness that is present overall, but when we talk about the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, there is no choppiness whatsoever. But there is a disappointment with this device in my unit, guys. I have seen a lot of videos on YouTube and also on other blogging platforms which tell that the Widevine L1 certification is present on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max and it can play back HDR videos and everything. That's why I've actually confirmed with other YouTubers as well. But on my unit, there is a specific issue. I have also checked with DRM Info. If I just open DRM Info over here, on my unit, there is no Widevine L1 support, which is kind of strange. So as you can see, it says Widevine L3. And also, if I go to the Netflix platforms, if I go to Netflix and I just go to some video over here, as you can see, there is no mention of HD. So that means this cannot play back full HD videos on Netflix and Amazon Prime Video platforms on my unit. I've also returned to Xiaomi and I've given the feedback using the feedback and services application over here. But overall, both the devices are very good in terms of display and quality. So guys, the next thing in the comparison is with respect to the performance on both these devices. Mi 10i has a Snapdragon 750G with 6GB of LPDDR4X RAM and UFS 2.2 storage. This has a Snapdragon 732G with 6GB of LPDDR4X RAM and UFS 2.2 storage. Both the storage and RAM types are same on both the devices, but just that this is a 5G enabled octa-core SoC. This is a 4G enabled octa-core SoC, that is Snapdragon 732G and 750G. Well, in terms of the overall day-to-day performance, there is no difference between both these devices. It handles everything smoothly. For prolonged gaming, the sustained performance of the Mi 10i is better when compared to the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. So let me open Twitter over here, guys, in 3, 2 and 1. So let me open YouTube in 3, 2 and 1. As you can see, YouTube opened faster on this device. Let me open the Google Chrome browser in 3, 2, 1. It was faster on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. Let me open the Google Play Store over here. Let me open Google Maps now in 3, 2 and 1. Let me open Flipkart in 3, 2 and 1. Okay, Flipkart opened faster on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. Amazon application 3, 2, 1. Both perform really well in terms of the day-to-day transactions, in terms of app opening speeds, handling applications in the background. Multitasking of both these devices is fantastic as well. When we talk about the sustained performance or the gaming for a longer period of time, Mi 10i is slightly better. I've played Call of Duty Mobile and also I've played PUBG Mobile Korean Edition on both these devices. Since it has slightly more powerful processor on paper, it shows in the performance. But when we talk about the day-to-day transactions, you will not notice any difference, guys. And also when we are taking a lot of photographs and videos, what I've observed is the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max tend to heat up a bit. In order to make sure the device gets cooler, performance sometimes drops. When I was taking the 108 megapixel mode photos on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, I have observed this problem that the phone tends to get slightly on the hotter side. Now let's talk about the cameras on both the devices, guys. Straight up, the cameras on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is better when compared to the Mi 10i. It has a 108 plus 8 plus 2 plus 2. This has 108 plus 8 plus 5 plus 2. Both the devices has electronic image stabilization at 1080p at 60 fps. Both the devices can shoot up to 1080p 30 fps from front camera. Both the devices has 16 megapixel front camera. Both the devices has the same Samsung's 108 megapixel HM2 sensor. The aperture size on the Mi 10i is 1.8, but the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max has f1.9 aperture, which does not make a difference. And also the wide angle camera on this device is 120 degree wide angle camera, and on this device is around 118 degree for the field of view, which also does not make a difference in terms of the day-to-day performance. The Redmi Note 10 Pro Max camera is slightly better just because of the fact that this device has a 5 megapixel macro. That macro will also be useful. It's not like the 2 megapixel macro on this device. So that technically these two cameras will be useful, and the 2 megapixel macro and 2 megapixel depth will be useless on this device. And here there is only one camera which becomes useless, that is the 2 megapixel depth sensor. Image processing, the colors, the dynamic range, the HDR quality, and in terms of the video performance also, both the devices are fantastic. There is one disappointment which is common to both the devices, that is there is no stabilization that is present on the 4K 30 fps mode on both the devices, and there is no 4K 60 fps mode on both the devices, and there is no 4K from the front camera, and there is no 1080p 60 fps from the front camera of both these devices as well. In terms of the video performance, at least they need to add 1080p 60 fps from front camera and add 4K 60 fps on the rear camera, add the stabilization that is EIS for 4K 30 fps to make these cameras little bit better. And one difference that these two devices has in terms of camera is that this device actually has a gyroscope based EIS, and this device actually has a normal software based EIS. And who is the winner? For me, it is the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, just because of the fact that it is 2000 rupees cheaper and providing almost 99% similar camera performance to the Mi 10i. So guys, now let's talk about the battery and charging of the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max and the Mi 10i. So the Mi 10i has a 4820 mAh battery with 33 watt fast charging. This has a 5020 mAh battery with 33 watt fast charging. Both devices comes with a 33 watt fast charger inside the box, and the battery performance of the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is slightly better when compared to the Mi 10i. When we talk about the screen on times, I'm getting slightly better screen on times on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. It can charge up quickly within 70 minutes, whereas the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max 5020 mAh battery, in my testing, it took to charge from 0 to 100% in 95 minutes, guys. The advertised value was around 75 minutes, but it took 95 minutes for me to charge from 0 to 100% on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. So in terms of the battery department, I would like to rate the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max higher side, because for me the battery life is more important than the charging speed, guys. Now let's talk about the network and connectivity. So this device has 5G out of the box with support for two 5G bands, that is N77, N78. This also has support for carrier aggregation. It has support for 4G Vivo LTE, which has voice over LTE. It has dual SIM support. This has Bluetooth 5.1. This also has IR blaster on the top, which can be used for the remotes and other stuff. And the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is a 4G device. This also has the carrier aggregation support. This has the same 4G Vivo LTE. This has a dual 4G dual Vivo LTE. This has voice over LTE. This has a Bluetooth 5.1 support. This also has the IR blaster on the top of this device. And also the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max has a dedicated SD card support. So that is 2 SIM plus 1 memory card you can use on this device, but there is hybrid SIM card slot on this device. When we talk about the network and connectivity and how it performs in the network and connectivity department, the Mi 10i easily wins by a huge margin. Cellular call quality and the call reception, the ability for the opposite person to hear on this device was a lot better on the Mi 10i. Microphone quality, the speakerphone quality, and also the number of call drops and the ability to connect in the low network areas is slightly better on the Xiaomi Mi 10i when compared to the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. Suddenly when I'm trying to call someone and it says call ended, that issue was a lot more on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. That is what I have observed in my experience, and I just wanted to put it there. The next important thing I wanted to discuss is with respect to the software and UI. Mi 10i has MIUI 12 with Android 10, and the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max has has the MIUI 12 with Android 11. MIUI in general has a lot of features. It may be in terms of the camera features, privacy and security features, the ability to set the control center and notification slide. In terms of the software and the UI, it is actually a tie because both devices run on the same software skin, that is MIUI, and both the devices has the Google dialer over here. We can use the Google dialer to record calls, guys. Both the devices does not have any ads. Previously, Xiaomi devices used to get a lot of ads and notifications, but both these devices, Redmi Note 10 Pro Max and Mi 10i, does not have any ads at all, so which is a huge thumbs up from my side. In terms of bloatwares, both devices came with a ton of bloatware. I have made separate video about how to remove bloatwares on both these devices. You can check it out, and I have actually removed the bloatware on both these devices, set the Google Discover feed on the left panel, and it feels really smooth and snappy. And in terms of the optimization that has been done, this is actually a tie in my opinion. Now let's talk about another important factor, that is the speaker quality on both these devices, that is the sound output and speakers. So let me play back a video to just show you guys the quality of speakers on both these devices. You guys can make a judgment about which quality of speaker is better. Now let's check the quality of speakers from the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. So guys, in terms of speaker quality and the sound output that comes out of the speakers is slightly better on the Mi 10i when compared to the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. Sound is a little bit on the wider side, it has deep, and the bass also seems to be a little bit on the higher side for the Mi 10i, and also it feels like it has more surround effect that is coming out from the Mi 10i. Whereas on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, the sound is a little bit on the tinier side. In terms of the sound separation, in terms of the quality of sound output and everything, both devices are fine, and also in terms of the quality of sound that comes out of the headphones are also really good as well. It has dedicated DAC, it is that is tuned by the default processor, and both has headphone jacks, one on the bottom of the Mi 10i and the top of the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. In terms of taking calls and in terms of listening to music, on the headphone jack is fine on both the devices, but in terms of the overall sound department, I would like to rate the Mi 10i on the higher side because the sound feels little bit deep and slightly having more bass on the Mi 10i. So guys, now let's talk about some of the miscellaneous factors that I have written down for both the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max and also for the Xiaomi Mi 10i. Mi 10i strangely has still not got the Android 11 update, guys. Android 11 was launched in the September of 2020 and it's been over 6 months and still the Mi 10i has not got the Android 11 update, and the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max already has the Android 11 update on it. And let's talk about the biggest quirk that I have with the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, that is on stage. If you just have observed the presentation of the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, the CEO actually had mentioned that this device will be one of the first devices with MIUI 12.5, and we have not got the MIUI 12.5 yet. If they are announcing something on stage, it better come within 1 week or 2 weeks after the launch of this device. This device is almost a month old and we have still not got the MIUI 12.5 update. On the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, there is a weird issue which I have been observing from the last couple of days, that is when I actually turn down the brightness really down and I actually turn on the reading mode that is available on this device, the screen has flickering issues. You might have observed that a lot of people have started complaining this issue, and my unit too has that issue. But in terms of low light, and when I turn on the reading mode in the low light situations and when the brightness is at the lowest, there is screen flickering issues. So that is a huge issue, guys, and I've actually given feedback to Xiaomi again from the services and feedback application. Now let's talk about my verdict about which device you should opt for if you are looking for a smartphone in this price range. So guys, these are the parameters that I have put to judge these these two devices, that is the Mi 10i and Redmi Note 10 Pro Max, guys. And also this round is for total of 9 points, guys. As you can see, there are 9 important parameters that I have put. Redmi Note 10 Pro Max wins in terms of build and design just because of the fact that it is having the vintage bronze color, and the display quality is again on the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is better because of the Super AMOLED display. Performance is better because of the higher sustained performance in gaming on the Snapdragon 750G, and the cameras are better just because it is having that 5 megapixel usable macro camera, and the results also show up. In terms of battery and charging, it is this device Redmi Note 10 Pro Max is better because of slightly higher screen on times, and in terms of network and connectivity, the call quality was seriously better on the Mi 10i when compared to the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. And in terms of the software and UI, it is a tie. Both had equal number of bloatwares which we had removed, and the optimization for software is fine on both the devices. And this device has better sounding speakers because of the wider bass. Deeper sound signature of the Mi 10i is something that I like. And in terms of price to performance ratio, this device is 2000 rupees cheaper. We are getting 4 points out of 9 for the Mi 10i, and if you just add all these, we are getting 6 out of 9 for the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. What is my verdict about this device is, guys, if you are actually looking for a device which is 5G enabled, if you are looking to keep a device for more than 2.5 years, 3 years, you should go for the Mi 10i. Otherwise, if you want a Super AMOLED display, then you have to go for the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. And if I had to make a choice which device I would pick is the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max. I would actually pick the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max over the Mi 10i any day because I want the Super AMOLED display rather than anything else of the Mi 10i. So guys, if you have liked this comparison between the Redmi Note 10 Pro Max and the Mi 10i, and if this video has helped you to make a decision, please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more interesting content like this one. Thank you for watching, guys.